Hello, this is Yayoi Komiyama of Brain to Belly, and welcome to the Spanglish World Networks on Zingo TV, channels 250 and 251. Please remember to download both the Zingo TV app on the respective app stores on iOS and Android devices. And while you download, please make sure to rate and comment. The app is free. Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire and Fire TV sticks, Roku and Roku stick. Also, all smart TVs 2016 and forward. So, welcome. So, today I have a guest who is very dear to me, who is a good friend of mine. It's Captain Adam. So I've known him for several years now, and we've developed a friendship over the years. And he is also an amazing coach and an amazing instructor. And right now, he is a master trauma coach. So, welcome, Adam. And if you can introduce yourself a little bit and tell us a little bit about what you do and what your passion is.
Thank you, Jajo. I'm very excited for being here. Hopefully, it's first of many. Hi, everybody. My name is Adham Chalabi, and I'm the founder of the um, QS Coach Institute and the director of LightNet. What I'm most passionate about is actually helping people to heal from the deepest trauma within in order for them to set their heart ablaze and actually being able to do what sometimes they might believe was to be impossible.
Wow. And may I ask you why you decided that you wanted to do this trauma coaching and yeah, where did it come from?
Well, where it actually came from was from early childhood. Since I became a coach, I always knew that I wanted to deal with trauma, addiction, PTSD, this heavy stuff. However, in the coaching industry, they always told me, well, you can't do that as a coach. You need to be a doctor, you need to be this, you need to have all the education, which is partially true. A lot of coaches out there take a 7-day certification for $7 and take out the same coaches. And it's like, well, you might want to get a bit more of education if you want to help your client with the deepest, most vulnerable wounds they are dealing
Yes.
with in their life. But like I say, it all started when I was little, struggling with my own tough time, my own anxiety, my own depression, and seeking a way out, seeking a way to heal, quote unquote, heal myself from all that.
Yes.
And that propelled me, motivated me to actually not listening to what people would tell me what I can or what I can't do, and find ways, holistic way I can introduce in my coaching to help clients from deep wounded trauma.
Wow. So it sounds to me like you really, I loved what you said about, I decided to listen to myself instead of what others said. And I feel like in this day and age, people especially have a hard time listening to who they are.
Mm.
And so, how did you find, or how did you go about listening to yourself and finding that truth within you?
Well, let me start with the end part, the truth
Yes.
within me.
Hmm.
And that's something that I find is important for actually healing from trauma is
Yes.
speaking the truth.
Yes.
Now, when I say about the truth, I am not talking about a fact because the truth is not a fact. The truth is not an object, a thing that, hey, this, this is the truth. That's not what the truth is.
No.
The truth rather is a formulation, is a process. The truth is a formulation by which truth itself is formulated by, and not just any formulation, actually a proper formulation.
Hmm.
So I guess how I started to listen to myself more is paying attention to what I say, to my words, and how it make me feel.
Ah,
Because let's be honest, who the hell knows the truth? Really, who? But we all know, everybody knows how what they say, what we say, how that makes us feel within.
yes.
We know
Yes.
that when we say something that isn't true, like I'm not enough or this or any limiting decision, any limiting belief, anything that disempower us, anything
Hmm.
that we say to impress others. And God knows I've done that many times. Sometimes I keep doing that. Um, I know how it feels within my body.
Yes.
Yes, it starts with self-awareness.
Yes. I
Being,
love. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, being aware of yourself. Something that any good, proper trainer teaches to their coaching students is being aware of what's going on with the clients, being aware of their language, their body language, their patterns, their everything. But something that they don't really teach them a lot often is becoming self-aware.
Yes. Yes. Right. When the coach is aware too, it kind of it leads by example so that the client can also become more aware. I That's just my belief, but
I agree.
yeah. And I love how you said that it's really about awareness because I think, you know, in this rush world that we're in, people don't take the time to just reflect on themselves. And it could be just 5 minutes, just to reflect on who you are or what you're thinking, because there's so much information going around all over us that we take that in and then we're not as we don't discern as much as we should, I think.
Yes.
Um, and it's easy to just believe everything that comes in.
Mm,
Yeah, so I think the awareness piece is so important, and I think what you're also implying is that we need to control by with our thoughts, control what comes in and what goes out as well.
yes.
So yes,
I like a lot what what's his name, Jordan Peterson, renowned psychologist, and he says that in order to truly know what you believe in, and not just what you think you believe or what you want to believe, but to actually know what you truly believe, you gotta be aware, pay attention to your behavior, to your
yes,
actions,
yes,
and that's the self-awareness that leads you to see what you actually believe in, the belief system that leads you to have the life that you have right now.
that's beautiful. Yes, I think it's so true that, and there's that old saying, actions speak louder than words, right?
Yes,
And I think that's so true. And a lot of us forget that as well. And, but when you do take action, it makes a big difference in
yes,
what we do. Um, so, from your experience, can you maybe share an example where um, taking that action or your actions made a big difference in how it shifted the way you thought? Or you can,
absolutely.
or
Yes,
client, doesn't matter.
no, absolutely. Well, here's where the fun starts because it's not just any action. Sure, any action speaks louder than words. However, one of the actions or behavior that I always was caught on was in educating myself. Coming from a family of educators, teachers, dean of school, professors, I was like, education is a huge part and
Yes,
huge value of me.
yes,
However, never graduating from high school at a proper age, I had to drop out of high school and start working to provide for my family. That really was haunting me. So I always seek to educate myself more. Now, people will say, "Oh, but that was a good thing. That was a good action." The only problem was that that action, that constantly seeking courses, training, course after course, becoming a course junkie, in other words, was being fueled from the wound of not being good enough,
yes,
not knowing enough, not belonging in my family. That one of the deepest value that we all value. So the problem with that is that again, I was fueling it's paradoxically because whatever you do to resolve your identity, whatever you do to resolve those limitations, actually reinforces that limitation.
yes.
It reinforces it. And becoming aware of what's that structure, like where are you coming from? Are you
Hmm.
coming from an egoic way of wanting to resolve your limitation, your identity? Because if you're coming from there, no matter what you do, even though it might seem the most amazing thing, you're reinforcing that.
Yes,
For example, you know, I'm in Colombia. I came
Yes.
here, maybe I arrived 3 weeks ago.
Yes.
And something that I promised myself is I'm going to stop all courses, I'm going to stop all training, all education, everything. And I'm just going to use all that shit ton of money and time to actually live my life. And it was paradoxical because I always believed that I need to fix myself. I believe that I need to have something else to lead the life that I wanted. And it's strange because when I stopped doing that, when I stopped believing that I need to do something, know something, have something else, and actually just my life, enjoy it, is when I started living the life that I always wanted to direct. So that's an example of actually what's the action, where's it coming from? Look at your behavior. Like,
Yeah.
where is that truly coming from? Not what you think you want to believe, but where it truly is coming from. And you will see the motivation behind it that's actually getting you stuck. I had a friend, and actually this was a client,
Mm-hmm.
but she grew to become a dear friend of mine and actually one of my best students.
Mm-hmm.
And she wasn't able to eat in a restaurant for 7 years. Like, she was on supplements, she was on shakes, she was on things for her body because her body would react negatively to eating out or doing eating anything basically.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out that she always knew that her grandma has something to do with all the sickness and illnesses that she will always have. She has chronic pain, chronic disease, chronic illness, everything. It's very and really rare, not just any. So, and she always told me, Adham, I know there's something going on here that my grandma is tied in this. I don't know what it is. But I realized her behavior was always eating healthy, getting and the shakes, the green shakes, and all that to actually avoid her body to react negatively.
Oh.
And for
Mm-hmm.
7 years, she couldn't enjoy nice food. That's fine. Well, not really. In one session, when we did kind of like a regression, we went to 3 years old
Mm-hmm.
when she was asking for her mom to give her love, to give her attention. And the mom basically told her, sorry, kid, I can't take care of you right now because we need to take care of grandma. She's dying. What's happened that moment is she created the representation, the belief, a representation that she's not lovable unless she was dying.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Since then, her unconscious mind, her whatever you want to call it, subconscious, anything, start creating this disease that actually take her to near death situation in order to connect with that sense of love. And her being quote unquote healthy, eating the shake, eating and green and all that was reinforcing that belief
Right.
because that was the response of it.
Yeah.
Anyhow, 1 week after that session, she sent me a picture in a restaurant eating sushi, eating tacos, eating cookies, and I'm like, all right, the cookies are amazing, aren't they? And it's strange because paradoxically, we are told what we're supposed to do to be better, but nobody tells you where that actually coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Is it coming from a wound? Because if it's coming from a wound, you're reinforcing the wound.
Yeah.
Her wound was, I'm not lovable unless I'm dying.
Yeah.
And her dying and then responding to that wound by eating healthy was the response of the wound, reinforcing the wound. It's very crazy. It's very paradoxical. It's very, I know, woo-woo sometimes, but it's fascinating the way it works.
Yeah. And it's fascinating how the mind works because, of course, we start believing, like you were saying, we start believing that that is our truth. But in
Yes,
reality, it was created from a false situation.
yes, a false
So,
representation.
yeah, yeah. Wow, that's amazing. Wow. So I know you do, I mean, that's like real trauma for people. And I just spoke to someone that had a similar situation. So I was like, oh, maybe I should connect you with this person. But anyway, that's another story. But I think it's amazing how little something so small that happened to us in the past, in childhood,
Yes,
can create so much of who you are now
yes,
unless you face it or unless you really
yes,
start exploring.
absolutely. And I want to add to that, you say a keyword there to actually face it. Because I'm gonna be honest, I don't like the personal development industry. I really don't like it. it's kind of like they try to tell you you need this tool, this technique, this coach, and this to actually heal, be better. Like there's something wrong with you, and you can overcome that breakthrough if if you do this. No, you have to face it. It's one keyword that you mentioned that I love because that's actually some of the basis of addiction. If you believe it or not, people not wanting to face the suffering.
Yes.
So what's addiction? Addiction is simply somebody who's suffering and
Mm-hmm.
they want to numb that suffering. They want
Yes.
to avoid it by whatever whatever substance. Like
Mm-hmm.
an addiction is not just drugs or alcohol. It's any behavior,
Yeah. Food.
sex,
Yes.
gambling,
Mm-hmm.
cigarettes, sex, and food. And food is actually the one that's very common.
Yes.
Uh, that there's something in you that is that is that has the suffering, and you try to numb that by whatever means possible, which is usually a behavior. It's not the substance. The real addiction is the behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if you really want to know what you believe in, look at your behavior.
Yeah.
Like when you take that extra piece of snack, ask yourself, what am I feeling? What am I thinking? What propelled me to eat that piece of snack if I know 1 hour ago I already had my meal?
Yeah. That's beautiful. It's, I mean, I totally agree with you. And it's really that behavior. And usually I found that with clients and people that I've spoken to, um, it's not it's not the physical hunger that they're trying to appease. It's an emotional hunger, or they're trying to appease. And it's kind of like related to what you said about your dear friend and client, I mean, student. And it's really about addressing something else. Like, for instance, I spoke to someone who was telling me that she was craving, I forgot what she said she was craving, but she was craving, like, maybe, let's say, cookies or something, ice cream. It was ice cream. She was craving ice cream. And, she's trying to focus on staying at a healthy weight and all this and that. So, but she was craving ice cream, and she was like, this is kind of weird that I'm craving ice cream because, I already ate, I don't really need it. And so she said, let me just pick up the phone and start calling a friend. And she started talking to the friend, and she said, I'm calling you because I'm craving ice cream. And she was like, what? And then what it was, and the reason, and it kind of is true, because she was craving ice cream, but she called her friend because she was craving the
Yes,
emotional tie that was
yes,
created there.
yes.
So,
I,
yeah.
I love that. It's because it's not the food; it's what it represents, what it gives you. So
Yes.
sometimes if I have my client that responds that resource to food as a coping mechanism, I like to ask them, what do you need that you're not getting that you get from the food?
Yeah.
So it's from going to the emotional, but something deeper from the emotional to what do you need
Yeah.
that you didn't get met, and
Exactly.
how else could you meet that instead of resourcing to the food? Is it by calling a friend, that the event? Is it by going to exercise? Like, how else could you meet those needs that you're craving
Yeah.
and that emotional response that it gives you? That's not
Exactly.
by the food.
Exactly, exactly. And I know that, I mean, this is brain to belly. So I know that a lot of the people that are viewers here and a lot of my clients, they really deal with a lot of this on a daily basis. And it's something, like you said, it needs to be addressed at the root to be really effective. And I know that as a trauma coach, and I know that you just recently started somatic coaching, right? And can you tell us a little bit about that so that people, viewers here, can understand that a little bit? Because that helps to get to the root of the problem in a lot of cases. Yeah, I would love to hear a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. So to start with, any kind of coaching, any kind of technique, any kind of approach helps you get to the root. So there is no one specific approach that helps you get to the root. But some of the approaches that I love, one of them being somatic coaching, is actually working with the intelligence of the body.
Yes.
Like the body is an entity. The body it has its own innate intelligence. Like why do you have 5 fingers? Like your body has a perfect blueprint of
Yes.
perfect health
Yes.
and perfect nourishment. Your body knows what food is good and not good for you for itself. Your body stores the energy, stores the
Yes.
electricity in it, stores the trauma, stores the positive and negative emotions in it.
Yes.
And by working on where in your body is that energy stuck, where in you, what kind of food will be the best. Like in any training in hypnotherapy, actually teaches you to use your body as a tool
Yes.
as well. Like you can take a bit of water and ask your body like, is this well for me? You can read the ingredients, the whatever the water has. I don't know why water should have ingredients, but hey.
It should have only water, but technically,
Exactly. Well, hey, whatever. And
yeah.
you can ask your unconscious mind, is this proper nourishment for my food? And you can use different idiomotor, whatever it's called, to have responses from your unconscious mind through your body.
Yes.
Like if you're familiar with pendulum, if you're familiar with the fingers technique, like having your finger move, if it's a yes or if it's a no.
Yes.
But asking your body, or in other words, your intuition, they're not the same. Body and intuition completely separate, but some people like to combine those two. Fine. Ask your intuition because your body has that innate blueprint, that perfect nourishment and health to it.
Yes. Yes. I agree with you completely because there's that wisdom that the body holds. And I think that people have gotten so conditioned not just to, I don't know,
Mm,
take out the body part of it, right? Not to be so conscious of it and not, they just ignore it. They don't really listen to
yes,
what the body is saying because there's so much wisdom in the
yes.
body.
Yeah,
So,
we, con-
yeah.
we truly are conditioned to listen to outside sources instead of inside. It's
Hmm.
like the whole presupposition that, like, that's why I've been training more techniques, tools, and approach that I can count, and I can, and all of them truly teaches you something similar.
Yes.
It's not the practitioner that makes a difference to your client.
No.
The practitioner can only facilitate.
Yes.
Now, some of my students and clients who are very in depth in my coaching or any kind of coaching, who actually understand it, they understand this piece. Hey, I'm not gonna change your life. Truly, the only thing that I can offer you is guide you, facilitate for you, offer you more choices.
Yes.
It is the client who makes the difference, the client who makes the change, like
Yes.
quite literally. But
Yes.
sometimes when I have a new client who've never either never been coached or haven't been coached by me before, sometimes I do need that kind of like showmanship of, yeah, let's do this cool technique. It's called timeline technique. Let's float above your timeline, go to your path. Let's do a regression,
Yeah.
or hypnosis, or breath work, or somatic coaching. But truthfully, it's not the technique. But why is that? Because we are so conditioned to believe that power, health, whatever is outside of us, and something outside of us will give it to us, instead of actually believing it's always what's within us,
Yes.
inside of us.
I I love that because it is everything. Wisdom, whatever we're seeking is always within us.
Yes.
And um, we've been conditioned for so long not to believe in ourselves, like the not good enough part, that we always, many of us struggle with, right? And that all comes from within us because, the when you tap into your inner spirit or inner spark, for instance, that spirit that you are connected with everything, that you are magnificent, that you are, you know, this brilliant entity or spirit or whatever, just holding this,
Yes.
this within this body, let's say,
Yes.
for example, right? You know that there's that shine, that charisma that person has. And when you connect with that, it's almost magical how everything just opens up.
Yes.
And I know it sounds a little woo woo,
No,
but
no. Right on my line.
but I know that many people forget to many people are programmed and forget to listen to who they are, to what they are, and to remember that they are connected with everything. Like when you go into nature, I think that's the easiest way for people to connect with who
Mm.
they really are.
Yes.
When you are in nature, like when you're maybe swimming in a lake or even when you go to the beach, connecting with the sky, just looking out at the sky, taking the beauty in, taking in the water, taking in the breeze that's coming, all of that, noticing that, just being aware of that connects you with everything that's there. And then you start realizing different things and different thoughts will start coming into your head
Mm.
where I think it helps you to reconnect with whatever power that created all of us, right? I don't know if,
Yes.
some people believe in God, some people don't, but everyone believes that there is a power that created us, an
Yes.
entity or some sort of power or
Higher
energy.
power.
Yeah,
Yeah.
energy that created us, right? And it's when you connect with that, it's almost like you're connecting into this it's like if you let's say there's a stream of energy that's like God or whatever, and you're like on this little tangent, little river or thing, stream, and then you kind of go into the mainstream. You connect with that mainstream when you become more aware, and
Yes.
it just really opens up so many more possibilities, and it gives you so much more hope that there's so much you can do.
Yes.
And I love that, you were talking about the body and how when you reflect on the body and think about, well, when I think about the sky, when I connect with the sky or the earth or whatever, you feel that in your body.
Yes.
And when you explore where it's feeling and just let that energy kind of flow out of you and connect with everything, you really feel that connection.
Yes.
And I think it's so important for people to just even take 5, 10 minutes, maybe during the week. If you can't do it every day, do it once a week to just connect and see where that takes you. Because you have to explore a little bit in order to move forward.
Absolutely.
And when we're stuck and when we're in anxiety and depression, it's scary to go into that.
Yes.
But when you take that one step and maybe with a coach, you could do it with a coach, you could do it with somebody you trust. Um, when you do that and you experience even just a little bit of it, it can make a huge difference in your life. And I'm sure, you've dealt with clients that this has happened to.
Yes.
And as a coach, it's the most beautiful thing when you can guide them to that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, I just went off on a
No,
tangent there. I was
I love
like,
I love your tantrum. Is it the word is tantrum or
a tangent, tangent.
tangent? Tangent. I know tantrum is for kids. I'm like, wait, I said the wrong word.
That's okay. I understood. That's not a tantrum, but it could be. I guess it could be in some ways.
The thing that I love the most from everything that you were sharing is that using nature as a way
Yeah.
to connect. And I want to touch on that because why do you connect when with whatever you don't need nature, but nature is a great, beautiful way because to me at least it's the closest thing to God.
Yes. Yes.
And anything when I want to validate any interpretation that I have, I would like to go to the closest thing I have to God, which to me is let's say nature, with this
Hmm.
example. And everybody to tell me, oh, well, I don't believe in God. Well, anybody who says I don't believe in God, they just don't know the God they are worshiping, they believe in, because that's the nature of the human structure. Like you need to believe in something bigger and higher than you, and whatever that is, in whatever you put in the higher hierarchy, because as human you have to believe in something higher,
Yeah.
and whatever you put that is functions as a god for you.
Yes.
Fortunately, some people put money, anger, or being right or stuff like something the highest top of them, and unfortunately that becomes their god.
Yeah.
So when people say, "Oh, I don't believe in God," something that I love Jonathan Pasha said is, "Well, I don't believe in the God that you don't believe in." And it's really funny. That's a really funny thing to say. I don't believe in the God that you don't believe in. Anyhow, why then is it when you connect, you feel that bliss and peace? Because for that split of a second at least, hopefully, if you learn to harness that, you can make that for longer and longer. Like when I go to the beach and love the water, water is my enemy. I spoke with you. I love how much I love water and how much peace it brings me.
Me too.
When when I'm connected with that, with source, with that stream of energy, whatever God, whatever people want to call it, you are connected in the right now.
Yeah.
And the only thing that actually exists is now. Now, I don't believe for one second that people actually understand what does it mean to be present, being in the now. I don't believe anyone understand it, at least not what it really means, because people believe that being present, being in the now means to be right here, right now. That's not what it means. Because when you're not connected, what's going on? You're living in the lens of your past. That's your default. That's human default.
Yeah.
Like you look into the world with the representation, the experience from your past to actually keep you from dying, to keep
Mm-hmm.
yourself alive. That's the default, most primitive function of your brain. Well, fine. So if you look into your life with the lens of your past, for example, let's say somebody has the belief that going out at night alone is dangerous because perhaps in the past something bad happened at night when
Right.
they went alone.
Right.
That's natural human functioning. That
Mm-hmm.
means you're healthy. So when you are connected, when you go to nature, when you put your feet on the ground and you savor that, you let go of that for the moment you're connected.
Yes.
And for that moment, you are free from perception.
Yeah.
You are free from the past. You're living in the now.
Yeah.
So being present doesn't mean to be here and now. Being present means healing, releasing the past. For example, sometimes I ask some of my students or clients or wherever it's appropriate, like, tell me a moment where you had a discussion, an argument with somebody. And they'll go tell me, well, such and such happened with my partner and it made me angry. And I ask that person, okay, what really makes you angry? Because I know people that the same thing happened and they wouldn't react as being angry. What did you believe? What were you feeling? And say, well, I wasn't listened to. I wasn't feel I was heard. So there was a wound of being unheard from back in their past that they carry the wound of not being heard. That anytime the partner says something that didn't match what she wanted to hear, she will feel unheard and responds to that with anger, whatever.
Yes.
So in that moment, she literally was living in her past. For that moment, she went to being a 4, 5, 6 year old
Yes.
in that interaction. She wasn't that adult, mature person that she believed she was. She actually regressed unconsciously to being in her past.
Yes.
She wasn't present.
Yes.
And
I.
when you're able to do what you said at least once a week, once every day, just connect for 5 minutes. What are you doing when you're connecting with source, with energy, with anything that you believe in? You're releasing everything else,
Yeah.
the past, the hurts, the wounds, and you are with everything that ever was and everything that will ever be.
Mm-hmm.
Source, God, whatever it is that you want to label it as.
Yes. Thank you. That's so beautiful. May I ask you on a personal level, do you do any meditation or what do you do to keep this up for yourself? Because I know that you've gone, you've done your own healing. And like we love to say, physician heal thyself, right?
Yes.
So what have you done and what are some of your daily routine rituals that you do to kind of help you to be present and connect?
Beautiful. So the first thing that I like to do is kind of like a self-coaching way of meditating. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a combination of those two, meditation and self-coaching. Which what I like to do is, if anybody hearing here is familiar with IFS, internal family system, I believe it's a great approach because it's that modality teaches that you have different parts of you.
Yes.
That you have yourself, which is capital S self, your self energy, and you have then parts of you within you that have their own thoughts, their own emotions, their own behavior, their own patterns.
Yes.
So part of the meditation that I like to do every morning is actually I close my eyes and I just get in trance. Meditation and hypnosis are very similar.
Yes.
And then I ask myself, who's here? What's present? And becoming aware of what I'm feeling and what I'm thinking. Like if I woke up today and I was stressed because I'm like, I haven't been interviewed so long, what I'm going to talk about, what I'm going to be asked, and it's like all those thoughts and emotions was raising this morning. Beautiful. Before the call, I just closed my eyes and I asked, who's here? And there were these parts that were anxious, that were afraid, that were a bit of nauseated of being here. But that's just an experience I'm having. It's not my whole self. It's not self is pure love. Self is courageous.
Yes.
Self is it's not, it doesn't get hurt. Self doesn't get hurt. Self doesn't get wounded. What's wounded are those parts inside of you. And that's a practice that I use because I love being self-aware.
Yes.
Now I'm not gonna pretend that I'm self-aware all the time, otherwise I'll be God. Isn't that the presupposition that God is is omniconscious all the time? Yeah, I'm not gonna pretend I'm that.
No, none of us are.
Yeah. But at the very least, I'd like to be able to be aware of my current internal experience in relationship to what I want to do, what I want
Yes.
to, like today, I was so excited to be here.
Oh, thank
And
you.
I wasn't going to let some parts of me be on the way to being this show with you.
Thank
So by acknowledging, by recognizing, dignifying those parts, the way I feel, the way I think, is you give it, you observe it, you
you. Yes.
give it acknowledgement. It's like when a little kid is throwing a tantrum. Why
Mm-hmm.
is a kid throwing a tantrum? Because children, especially prelingual children,
Yes.
don't have the language to communicate how they're feeling.
Yes.
So what do? They act it out.
Mm-hmm.
They act out. The same thing with the parts internally. Your parts are stuck in time, quote unquote. They believe you're still at 2 years old, at 3 years old, at 4 years old.
Yes.
That believe that if you are in public and speaking in public, something bad's gonna happen. So, so what does happen when you acknowledge the kid? Hey, everything's gonna be fine. I'm here. I will protect you. I will love you.
Yeah.
Everything will be fine. If you do the same thing with yourself, you will have the same result, the same effect of that soothing, calm energy that your parts trust you to lead them.
Yes.
That's honestly the ultimate purpose of any well-formed coaching
Yes.
is self-leadership.
Yes.
I want my clients to fire me as soon as possible. Like I don't want my clients to be dependent on me all the time. But for them to be self leadership, to have that self leadership to lead their system, to
Yes.
lead their thoughts, their emotions, their behavior, their snack grabbing, their resolving their unmet needs, resolving their emotion with the behavior of overeating or smoking or whatever, for them to become aware of that, what's going on in there? What are my thoughts? What am I feeling?
Yeah.
Because if I know the behavior is going for a snap, what am I feeling? What am I
Yeah.
thinking? And
Mm-hmm.
who inside of me holds that
Yes.
pattern? Because
Yes.
I can guarantee you it's not yourself. It's not your capital S self.
No. No. No.
It's not that part. I
Yes.
can guarantee you that.
That's beautiful. Yes, I know from my own experiences, I've well, everyone knows that I've released like 30 something pounds and I've kept it off for more than 20 years, right? And possibly longer. But, sometimes even with all this training that I've had and this lifestyle that I've created, sometimes if something triggers me,
Mm.
if somebody really makes me angry and then I get all feisty and then I'm like, screw this, I'm gonna eat, I'm gonna go eat chocolate, and if I can't get like the really good chocolate, then I'm like, I don't care, I'm gonna eat this crappy chocolate, right?
Yeah.
No, and that's the kid in me. That's the kid that was hurt when I was
Yes.
a little kid. I was hurt by taunted or I don't know, teased and things like that. And that's the kid in me that's saying, screw this. I'm going to eat this because I don't care what anyone thinks. That's a tantrum. And that's like going back to who I was. So I always say I slipped back into my old, to the kid that I was or to my
Yes.
old self And recognizing that,
Yes.
when you recognize that, it makes a huge difference because you're like, oh, I just slipped back into that. And I'm like, oh, well, I don't need that then, because that's not me now. Like,
Yes.
me now doesn't need that. I know what I need. So it's really like that whole, like you were saying, taking off those filters that go to the back,
Yes.
to the past, and seeing, connecting, and going into that stream of who you are now.
Yes.
Hmm.
And I encourage anybody listening to you right now to actually go at a level deeper. To once you acknowledge those parts, that little kid, for example, the stuck little kid, to actually converse to it, have a conversation. Like there is something massive about conversing, because if you truly want to acknowledge and dignify those parts, you want to hear them out.
Yes,
You can ask him, what is it that you're protecting me from? Because they're all protecting you from something.
yes,
And ask them, what do you need to tell me that you didn't get the chance to tell me, or that you need to tell me again?
yes,
And have that part. It's a powerful meditative process. Have that part respond to you, and you, in return, tell the part the things that you need to tell, that you couldn't tell it, or you need to say again.
yes,
But there is that power of speaking. Like everybody has the responsibility of speaking. Everybody like has that responsibility. People say think before you speak. I think that's disempowering. As I speak, then you think about how that make you feel and how that make others feel. That doesn't take away the responsibility of of, of the consequence of what you said. But there's something healing in the process of healing. Why? Because language, speaking, is up for the unconscious mind.
right.
Emotion is the unconscious mind. And it's only when you have the integration for unconscious and unconscious, conscious and unconscious integration, is when you have that healing.
Yes,
Because you process it. You process the emotion. You process the wound
thank
by speaking it, by
you. Yes,
conversing it, by hearing it, by acknowledging. You start processing the wound instead of just being negative emotions and thoughts. Um, Away in the darkest side of your unconscious, you start processing it by talking, by
thank
putting
you.
language around it.
Yeah. And I love what you're saying because I just recently talk about taking another class, right? But I did, and only because this really resonated with me.
Yes,
And it's called the Freedom Point, and it's
yes,
basically exactly what you're talking about. Is that in the Freedom Point, what we do is I just got certified in it, but what we do is we talk to that part of you that is like that kid that was me, right? I would talk to it and say, where is it in my body? And
yes,
I would talk to it and say, what do you need to tell me? Are you still lingering around because you feel like you still need to finish something? Or are you done with what you were sent here to do?
yes,
And it's really to converse with it, to get to know, because there are different parts of us, you know, still in here
yes,
sometimes. And sometimes we still haven't completely healed from something
yeah. And that's the
because,
nature of it.
yeah,
It's the psyche, the human mind. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but the human
no,
mind
no,
is
it's fine.
multiple by nature.
Yes,
People see, especially in NLP, they teach a lot of NLP that parts are created out of trauma or wounds. I couldn't disagree with that more. Like the natural beings, entities, or energies within every human being,
yes,
every single thought, and they don't they adopt an unresourceful behavior pattern thought due to wound, absolutely, but they're
yes,
not created out of trauma or wound. They just adopt like a unresourceful
yes,
pattern out
yes,
of wound.
yes, yes. Because the intent was always to protect.
There's always a positive intent behind it.
Yes,
Yes,
and to love. And it was out of love that these things evolved, right? Um, it was out of love that I resorted as a kid to going to food because
yes,
because I was lonely or I was hurt or whatever, right?
yes,
So it was that, but that part of me no longer, I don't need that anymore, or I
yes,
don't, that part of me has healed.
yes.
And sometimes, you know, it's also human nature to slip back into old patterns sometimes.
Oh yes,
And just as long as you're aware of it, I think that's where, when you become aware of it, it's easier to spot it. And then
Yes,
you say, oh, wait,
and do
that's an
something
old,
about it.
yeah, and that's
Or
an old pattern. I don't need it. And then you
yes,
can just move on.
yes. It's funny because you said that out of love, you every part, every behavior has a positive intention.
Of course.
And it's funny to say love because the same happened with me. Like out of love, I was self-harming by myself when I was a teenager.
Yeah,
And that was because of a wound that happened. Like that's what trauma is. Trauma is a wound. Trauma is not
yes.
a bad event. Oh, my mom told me this. I'm traumatized by that. That's not trauma. A lot of people use trauma as a buzzword right now. That's not trauma. Trauma is the wound that happened within you for a bad event. And when I said that out of love, I was self-harming myself, is because when I was, I don't know, 6, 8 years old, and this is not poor me or what a horrible mom I had or anything. No, my mom's my best friend. I've healed so much with my mom. Like she's the first person that I ever talked to about like, Mom, I'm gonna be interviewing in this show with Judge, right? Like she's my best friend. So by no means this is for me or what a horrible mom. But growing up, we both had our quarrels together in our process in life. And when I was 6 years old, I don't know, something happened in the house. Some of my siblings did something wrong. I don't even remember what was it. And my mom went rampage. My mom was start breaking everything down. Who did this? Who did that? Tell me who did it, and I will stop hating you guys. And she was hating up pretty bad, and I knew it wasn't me. By God, I was so relieved because finally something happened. And I didn't want the one. I wasn't the one who broke it. And I was waiting for my siblings who were older than me to step in to end this. But I saw the face of fear in their face, and I said, I can't have it. And I blame myself. Mom, it was me. And I really believed her that she was gonna stop. But in that moment, she took me to the room, undressed me, and from my torso down, she started beating the hell out of me. That my legs were starting to bleed. In that moment, I saw the face of regret in my mom's face. That she realized what she just did, and she told me, "Why, Adham? Why did I do that?" And I said, "Mom, it wasn't me. I just didn't. I just wanted this to end." And then I saw more regret in her face and sadness. And she said, "Sorry, I'm sorry, Adham. I'm sorry." And she started loving me, hugging me, taking care of my wound, patching my wound, gave me a shower, and then we went to sleep together, hugging. Just what I wanted from her, to be hugged, to be loved. So guess what my mind did? It connected. In order to be loved, I need to be heard.
Hurt.
I created that complex equivalence, the association, that belief. It's unconscious. It was totally unconscious. That in order to be loved, I need to get hurt. And since that age, up to my 17 years old, I indulge in self-harming behavior to connect with that self-love, with that love that I wanted. So when people, so that part of me, that it wasn't myself. Self doesn't do that. It's those part that has those beliefs that,
Right.
hey, in order to be loved, you need to get hurt. And guess what?
Mhm.
Guess which one was my number one value in life? Being loved.
Loved, of course.
Being loved. And every time I get a coach that tells me, go to the mirror and tell yourself how much you love yourself, like be amazing. And I will do that. What am I telling my unconscious mind? I need to get hurt. I need to get hurt. I need to get hurt. Every time I tell you, I love myself, those affirmations without knowing how my brain is operating, I was telling myself, I need to get hurt. I need to get hurt. Reinforcing that. So to actually understand and be aware of what's going on in your mind, to know what to do about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it really needs to go a level deeper and really assess, because we're who we are now is what we accumulated from the past, right?
Yes,
So definitely. And I think, we are a what do you call a the the creation of our past,
yes,
and overcoming certain adversities that we have, and not and just acknowledging it makes a huge difference in our process and how we can move forward.
yes.
So yes, I know we're almost at the hour, so we'll have to close up soon. So, Adam, could you tell us a little bit about how people can get in touch with you if they want to work with you, or how they can, if you have a newsletter or a podcast, I don't know what you have, so that they can get in touch with you and learn more about what you do and the processes you have?
Well, I'm very simple guy. You can find me on Instagram at Captain Adham or in Facebook as Adham Chalabi.
Okay. Wow. That's very simple. I
Very
love
simple.
that. And you are right now in Colombia, I think
I
you
am,
mentioned, right?
yes, I'm
Yeah.
currently in Colombia
Yeah.
and giving myself the time to travel and enjoy my life.
Yes. And I love that about you. Yes. I love that because I know that Adam had worked so hard in the last couple of years, to get his business going and also to work on himself. So, um, yeah, I love that you're doing things for yourself and going on a new adventure.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
So, thank you for that. And I just want to say that thank you for being here. And I really appreciate the conversation we had, Adam. Thank you.
Me too. Thank you, Chancellor.
Okay, of course. And so, viewers, this show can be also heard on the Spanglish radio networks. Please check out spanglishworld.ca and for all the news and programming. And Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, and download it and live it. So, thank you very